as you can tell, I got a special guest today, man. Former Nuestra Familia member, my friend, my homie, my canal, Big Rojo de Pitas.
What's
How you
up,
doing, Rojo?
Doing good, bro. Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing real good, man. So what I wanted to do on this was just to have a conversation, man, about being an NF member in the 90s. We already know about your story about how you got recruited through DC and Tibbs, man, but I want to get more of a feel of how was it operating as an NF member in the 90s during that time frame?
The first thing I want to point out is the education you received. Let's be more specific in Pelican Bay, because it's going to vary from institution. It's going to vary from pod to pod, but the main thing that was stressed to me was education about every single thing, about not only being an NF member, but how to conduct yourself in life. Also, it was the education was so important, so stressed. It was an everyday thing. It was many hours a day. There was many topics a day. It was verbal. It was written. Every concept was broken down thoroughly. And in my situation, everybody knows I got to spend a lot of time with Tibbs, who is extremely gifted intellectually. And so, I got to hear his perspectives, and also those of my peers, such as Wino from Salinas, Porky, Little Man, Little G, so it was a nonstop from the time you got up, man, you did your burpees, and it was right to the books all the way until probably 7 p.m., man. So we're talking 10 hours a day, minimum of vigorous studies. With a multitude of topics, man. Part of it would be about the Constitution, your Bible as a member. Part of it would be about the streets. A lot of mine was focused on the streets because I was a short timer. I was short timing when I got there. I had like a year, when I pulled up with them guys. So my focal point was how to establish things, how to set up regiments, security, weaponry, firepower, establishing, your regiment so it's secure. You're able to meet any kind of threats. You're able to establish. You're able to, you name it, man. It was very, very serious, man. The education was taken very, very seriously. I've talked to other individuals who were members, same time. Their experience is a little different. They were with different Cs, maybe more militant, maybe more dominating personalities, maybe more relaxed. We've always stressed, me and Flacco both, and other people will agree on the platform that have lived the lifestyle. Everybody's going to have a unique experience. Mm-hmm. Mine was unique in the fact that I was next to a very intelligent person who was also one of the top 3 high-ranking people, and pretty much, man, the brainchild of the NF at that time. We'll just keep it 100. But, man, what I got out of the 90s was serious, no mistakes, education, feed your brain, no matter what it is. And even in my personal time, bro, I was reading books about business and, economics, stock market. It was nonstop grind to better yourself mentally every day, as well as physically, of course, because I did way more burpees in a year than most people need to do in their entire life.
In a month, Yeah. So I got a question that a lot of people have asked this, right? And I want a more detailed response on this. Can you break down the different CAT systems within the rank and file?
Okay, category 1 is going to be your new recruits. Like, say I joined today, I'm going to be a category 1. And you're basically, you got the full privileges of the NF. You know what I mean? You're a familiano, period, above all else. And, a lot of people think, oh, such and such was just a Cat 1. Such and such is a member of the NF. And such demands his respect, whether he's been a member a day or 50 years. When you attain that status, you have that status. You're not really going to be running nothing inside of a SHU program, Corcoran, Pelican Bay, anything like that. However, when you depart those areas, 90% of the time you end up in a county jail, you end up in another prison. You're going to be the head authority in charge, because there's in my era in the 90s, all the C's were either in the holes throughout the state, whether San Quentin 6 Yard, K Wing and Tracy, or they're going to be in Pelican Bay, Corcoran, Tehachapi, places like that. So if you're one of the dudes that gets to go out to the streets all the time, you know, you come in there with short time, you're just on violations, you're going to run things in your county jails. You're going to run things in other prisons. You're going to have them. You're a member. You're going to be in charge, and you're going to be held accountable. A Category 1 NF member has more than likely already been extremely well educated, not only as a Norteño, but a lot of times as an NR member. Nuestra.
You'd be surprised though. You'd be surprised sometimes nowadays, man. I've seen Cat ones come through that were just like clueless, bro. Clueless. You'd be shocked.
I never have. Hey, you know what though? On the same token, I've ran across Cat, you know, claim to be Cat 3s like Dancing Bear. I don't know. I never seen his status officially marked down nowhere.
They were saying he was a lieutenant at one time, but I don't. I mean,
he don't know his ass from a hole in the ground, bro. He's dumb, bro. He's just a dumb human being. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is what it is, you know. So you will run into people, but if that's why I say everybody's experience is unique. If you would have been the places that I've been, unless you were dumb, you would understand how everything goes, because the education was that perfectly explained.
Prioritized too.
Yeah, it's like you're in a college course with a great teacher. You know what I mean? If somebody can't explain something right, it's hard for people to learn. That wasn't a problem with tips, straight up. Unless you were dumb, you know what to do at all times. There's not no second guessing, not no, hey, what do I do? There's not none of that. It just gets done. You know, so anybody, like I said, it's real different for everybody, man. But if as an NF member, you're going to be in charge, unless there's an NF member that's higher than you. You automatically have the keys. Category 1 usually lasts a minimum of 5 years.
5 years.
Category 2, you become eligible. You're just considered a well-seasoned. There is definitely no way you don't understand what's expected of you, the Constitution, the rules. In theory, there's still people who don't. This is what I'm saying by the book. Category 2 is going to be a well-seasoned individual who has a thorough understanding of the Constitution, the overall goals of the organization, knows how to conduct himself, knows how to establish, knows how to function, knows how to implement, knows how to oversee, knows how to lead, knows how to direct, things of that nature. It also knows how to be, you know, a subordinate as well to those in charge. You know what I'm saying? Category 2, you're eligible for certain positions, lieutenant positions, things of that nature, block commanders, stuff like that. Cat 3 is supposed to be, man, I want to say a minimum of 20 years. I could be wrong.
So wasn't it 10 for a minute though?
It might be 10. It might be 10. I'd have to look back.
I think it's 10 years, bro.
Perfect, loyal service, all that. You're eligible to be a member of the OGB, your regiment commanding type stuff.
Basically, top entry leadership roles.
Yeah. You have no ceiling once you become a Category 3. You know, your leadership, your policy. You know, you might not implement policy, but you're part of the group that does implement it. You know, it takes quite a few individuals. It takes like 2/3 to implement most policies that have any kind of contradiction to what's in the Constitution, as well as usually when another C is deemed no good, it usually requires, you know, 2/3 to go ahead and authorize that. It's supposed to. Does it? Not always. The thing about the 90s, there was a lot of turmoil. There was a lot of stuff going on within the group, you know, with the, you know, such as the D facility dilemmas, people leaving Pelican Bay and coming back and feeling like they still are entitled to a certain position they held that is only held in Pelican Bay. A lot of little different things, man. It was real structured, and everything was going really smooth. But there was bumps in the road. The D facility dilemmas was huge. You know what I mean? A lot of people fell out of standings, you know, C's, B's, and regular N's behind that. But in a nutshell, bro, the 90s,
MC,
It was
MC
serious
was,
times, bro. It was serious times.
what was your feedback on MC? Did you get a filter announcing his death?
Man, they didn't really want to talk about it at all. Yeah, I mean, we knew, but it was kind of a hush hush thing. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, hey, just we're gonna avenge him, or well, this is why it happened. It was kind of like,
Don't talk.
yeah, bro, you weren't supposed to really mention it. You know what I'm saying? You know, you could talk with it like amongst yourself, but as far as like having an opinion or a theory or anything like that in a public or a yard, or, you know, you weren't supposed to do that.
What about Cafe, Brown Bob?
Same.
I didn't really put too much of it, because if you really think about it, in that time in the 90s, those were the two main NF members that were killed. I think there may have been a couple other ones. I don't really remember. I know a few structure members got killed out there in the streets.
Yeah.
That was a big thing, man. So take it back to you know what I'm saying, leadership roles in San Quentin in the 90s.
In the 90s, the first time as an NF member I ran the yard independently was probably 1990, the end of 1996. I showed up there. There was no other C's there. There might have been one on walk alone, but you know, if you're on walk alone, it doesn't matter who you are. You don't hold authority in Quentin. Quentin's a trip, man, because the thing with the 90s in San Quentin, you had 3 NF members that were on death row.
Yeah.
They were all longtime members, and I always found it, you know, kind of strange. I know AC's, the adjustment center, it's like a whole, it's like another version of the whole, supposedly more, worse, whatever, more strict. Communication's hard. I get it, but those guys weren't even really being acknowledged. Like, we didn't even try to communicate. We didn't even try to communicate with them. You know what I mean? And I found that odd. Above my pay grade, though. You know what I mean? I asked about it, and I kind of got told to shut up for the most part. Man, running San Quentin, it's interesting. I'm fortunate because, you know, before me there were people like Boxer, Chico, and others that kind of, even Lobo and DB. You know what I'm saying? They let me know enough of how to get in touch with who needs to be got in touch with that I transitioned into it no problem, man. I had every H unit. I even had, they used to have a boot camp out there. They used to have a
ranch, yeah,
kind of military boot camp out there, and we even got reports all the way from there, man. And we were getting kickbacks from H unit, you know, South Block, mostly H unit, because all the West Block people and the Fresh Fish and all them, they didn't really have a lot of action at Hustle. You know what I mean? But H unit, I was working with H unit. I established a contact on death row to be able to facilitate, you know, some certain items that you're not supposed to have. And started making money. And
the Samoan, right?
No, it was a African brother.
Didn't you have a resource to the Samoans as well in the joint?
Not in Quentin.
That was the streets then, huh?
Well, we had Tongans. It wasn't even Samoans, but they were a hit squad. You know what I mean? They weren't. That was my hit squad.
So I got a question that really hasn't been answered. I know you've been asked it. What was the rumors circulating around Mexican Mike's death out there in the streets?
Well, the only thing I knew was facts, because I knew the person that was in the car with them. It was man, he had been having beef with the brothers for years. They actually kidnapped him. They actually kidnapped him one time and whooped on him and shit. I'm surprised they let him live. But you know, I tried to tell him, I'm like, look, bro, you should probably cut off all them East Oakland ties. You know what I mean? Their way of doing business is different from ours. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying nothing bad. It's just facts. We do things on a different way. And he's like, yeah, you know, you're right. But he didn't listen. You know what I mean? I didn't make it a direct order. You know what I'm saying? But you know, he wasn't even really particularly doing anything at that moment other than picking up his kid from school. So he goes and snatches his kid up from school. He's going down 98th, and he got stuck in traffic at a stoplight. Young black brother rolled up on him, and it was 17 shots. He got hit with 16 of them.
Wow, they must have been monitoring his movements, bro.
Yeah, they were for sure.
You know what I mean?
Them brothers out there are with the business in East Oakland, and they're
was that Kumi
pretty
related?
organized as well.
Were they Kumi or no?
I don't think so. I think it was just like a jealousy kind of, you're making money in the 90s kind of thing, and this is our block, and you're doing way, way better than us, and you won't hook us up type of thing. So we're going to get you out of the picture.
Okay. Well, before we end this interview, man, anything else you want to add with the 90s with the NF?
Man, the 90s, bro, man. I was fortunate enough to be around some people that were extremely intelligent, and not just in as far as gang stuff. You know what I mean? Just like I've blown Tibbs up a lot of times, man, and I can't say enough about how intelligent the man was, not just as a gangster, but like in life, bro. He was one of them dudes that he taught me a lot of things. You know, I was a young man. You know, I was in my very early 20s when I joined, not 22, not 23, younger. Man, he was like he played a father role, bro, essentially, bro.
Yeah.
Taught me, hey, he would hit me with scenarios, bro, because he was like the porter in there, so he could stay out of his cell a lot of times, you know what I mean? And he'd be in there in front of my cell talking to me and Wino, and he'd be like, well, imagine if this happened, guys. He'd chew like he had gum, but he didn't. Imagine if this happened, Rojo. What would you do? And I think about it because, you know, I'm trying to say the right thing in front of Tibbs because, you know, that's the big super triple OG, quadruple OG. And he'd be like, okay, what about you, Wino? And Wino tell him, he'd be like, well, what about this, guys?
And you break it down.
Man, you're right, man. You know what I mean? And just little concepts about being a man and having integrity. Playing man, like he's one of the main persons who taught me, you know, and you know, a lot of people would probably say it's fucked up, you know, that he said this being in his position, but he's like, you don't want this shit for your kids. You know what I mean? You don't want this shit for your grandkids. You know what I'm saying? And it is actually true. A lot of people might look at him as, man, any real man that loves their children, they don't want them in that lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that only has two ways to go out: prison or dead, or on a hit list.
Yeah,
3 ways. So, and you know, everything he taught me, bro, I still remember to this day. You know, at least the concept of it, not necessarily word for word, the conversation, nothing like that. But you know, people have asked me oftentimes, man, if you could do it all over again, would you do it different? I'm like, well, if I could go all the way back to my first felony that ruined my whole, you know, adulthood, yeah. But if I'm already in there, would I still join? Yeah. Would I have done things different? Yeah. Well, now, man, I got a lot more sense now, a lot more foresight, a lot more experience. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And I could have seen some of the pitfalls and just jumped and slid right beside them, you know. But what we try to stress to you people, man, is the federal government, they have extreme resources. My little crew, nobody ever got busted. Never. No selling dope, no organized events, no assaults, no nothing. Never. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
I did things cool. The lesson here is no matter how smart you are, they will get you eventually, man.
Yeah.
It might take a year. You might ball out for 5 years. You might ball the fuck out. Like, man, I got my system down. I'm balling. Whoop-de-whoop. Keep playing roulette, and you're gonna crap out, man. And that's just facts, bro. It's gonna happen. You know. So the things that I learned, though, bro, like just the organized crime shit's great because you can apply it to regular business as well, and just take away the criminal shit out of it. The steps are there to be successful and be an entrepreneur and doing something legit. You know what I mean? You if you're trained by the right person, you can come out of Pelican Bay like damn near having a PhD in certain things.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Because you got, you go to a class in college, it's an hour. In Pelican Bay, you got 10, 12, 14 hours a day. You know what I mean? So the 90s, bro, very educational. I learned so much, bro. Like I wouldn't be the person I am today without the education that I got. Made a lot of fucking money, bro. A lot of money. But it ultimately almost cost me an enormous amount of time in the federal prison system too.
Yep.
I see. The federal government slid some people into me that I never would have had no idea were gonna do me dirty.
I can confirm that what saved Rojo's ass was basically 9/11. Saved my ass too, believe it or not. They were putting together a team to take my ass down as well at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were gonna get me, Flacco, and probably about 20 or 30 other people. 9/11 happened, and they had to put all the resources for organized crime into counterterrorism because there was other credible threats, similar to the Pentagon thing, similar to the Pennsylvania crash, as well as the World Trade Center. So, we talked to a person who was going to be the one who came kicking in our door, one of the ones for sure, but the head of that, he straight up told us point blank, man, 9/11 saved you. Yeah. Shout out to the real victims of 9/11, though, and the family. Man. And, if there was, I wouldn't want to be saved somebody else's tragedy, but, it worked out good for me and Flacco and a bunch because we were on the next wave. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. We'd be still doing time.
Yeah, I probably would have just barely got out, if I'd have got like 20, you know what I'm saying?
We'd have got out around 2010, 2012, and we'd be back in already.
No, with 20 years? 20 years and
no, look, Happy and them got 10 years, and Happy, Spider, and a couple other cats got a little time. So there's a possibility, bro. Anyways, man, I want to tell you guys, check out something I did on the Rojo room. I slapped a banger. I really went off on there, man. I went all over the place, man. You get to see another side to me. And
it's a good one, y'all. It's a good one.
I'm glad I brought Rojo in on here, and I want to emphasize on the things that Rojo is really good at, which is when it comes to the Constitution and the application of it, man, there's none better than Rojo. He knows his shit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rojo.
Anytime, brother.
And I'm out.